and I am here to walk you through my seminar today entitled From Struggle to Strength. I am really looking forward to sharing this content with you on today. And so let's jump in. Perhaps first, let me just introduce myself. Most of you probably don't know me. So, who is Coach Paula? I am a certified life transitions coach. I'm an author, I'm a speaker. I work professionally as a program manager for a major health insurance company. I'm a widow after 30 years of marriage. I have three wonderful sons, my daughter in love, and my grandson. I love to sing, I indulge in self care, and I enjoy all things seafood. But I think most critically, the statement at the bottom really encapsulates who I am. I am a person of value who values people and adds value to them. So I am hoping to do just that through our encounter on today. So, our focus today, we have three key learning objectives. One, we're going to review three of the 15 invaluable laws of growth based on the book by John C. Maxwell. We will be focusing on the law of intentionality, the law of pain, and the law of awareness. Now, for a foundational background, I'd like for us to just rest on this foundational principle and use it as a thread through each of the laws that we will review. This foundational principle is all about perception because it is key, as we can see from this picture. The statement is that every moment in life gives you an opportunity to see who you are, and it also empowers you to decide if that is who you want to be. The classic example I give for this is often when we're driving. I don't know where you live, but where I live, there's plenty of opportunity for road rage. And so when someone cuts you off or does something that's not very nice in traffic, you have the opportunity to either respond the same way or to decide and say, go ahead. I'd rather have you in front of me than behind me. And so it gives you the opportunity to see yourself. Do I want to have road rage? And is that who and what I want to be? Let's keep this principle at the forefront of all that we're doing as we review these three laws. So the first law is the law of intentionality. This law states the key principle: growth does not just happen. We cannot assume that because we say we want to grow, that we're going to grow. There must be intentionality. But for many of us, we're not intentional about it. So, what hinders our growth? I'm so glad you asked. There are growth gaps. And what these gaps represent are when we're not planning to grow. The old adage says, if you plan to fail, then you fail. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And so these growth gaps that I'll step through are often what prevents us from growing. Gap one, the assumption gap. I'll just grow automatically. That's not the case. Gap two, the knowledge gap. I don't know how to grow, and I'm not even going to try to figure out how. Gap three, the timing gap. It's just not the right time to grow. Gap four, the mistake gap. I'm afraid of making mistakes. This gap got me often, but I had to realize that when I fail, that's simply my first attempt in learning. I've got to learn the lesson from what I didn't do and apply it the next time. Gap five is the perfection gap. I have to find the best way before I can start. This one got me too. Perfect Paula, always trying to get it exactly right. But I had to learn that it's all about more progress over perfection. Gap six, the inspiration gap. I just don't feel like growing. Well, you need to get inspired. Gap seven, the comparison gap. Others know more than I do. I fell prey to this one too. But comparison is the thief of joy. And so we have to stay in our own unique lane and do what we can do best, not worrying about what anyone else is doing. And lastly, gap eight is the expectation gap. Whew, I thought it would not be this hard or this difficult. But we can't let that stop us because what are we? Overcomers. And so, with these gaps, we have to be intentional to transition into intentional growth. And so I'd like to step you through just a couple of these examples. We don't need to go through all of these, but the concept is for you to understand that growth is on a spectrum from accidental to intentional. And we want to be on the side of more intentional growth, not accidental growth. So here's a couple examples. Accidental growth, plans to start tomorrow. You know, that diet you're always going to start on the next Monday. While intentional growth says, I'm going to start right now. Another example, accidental growth talks a big game, but intentional growth, it follows through. So there are differences in how this growth shows up. Another example, accidental growth stops learning when the class is in and there's graduation. But intentional growth is committed to being a life learner and to never stop learning. So identify where you are. Are you on the accidental spectrum or are you on the intentional spectrum? And let's shift accordingly. The second law is the law of pain. Yes, I said it, pain. The key principle here is that good management of bad experiences leads to great growth. We're all going to have bad experiences, but how you manage them determine how you come out. So let's dig into this law a little bit more as well. Wow, this is going to hurt. You see that picture on the left? And so is the one on the right. And so are all the things that we go through in life. We're all going to experience some type of pain. The truth about these bad experiences is everyone has them. Nobody likes them, and few will take the bad experiences and turn them into something positive. But as overcomers, I'm sure that we will be part of that few. But see, the pain stories, if I can indulge for just one moment, the pain stories, they are what we tell ourselves. The pain of inexperience. I've never been through that. The pain of incompetence. I should have seen that coming. The pain of disappointment. I wish it had never happened. The pain of conflict. Human resolution doesn't always feel good. The pain of change. I didn't want that to happen. Then there's other pain stories. The pain of responsibility. They expect way too much of me. The pain of hard decisions. You can't make everybody happy. The pain of financial loss. Whew, if I could only get that back. And the pain of relationships. Some people will grow in a different way. We may grow apart. All of these pain stories are not what we should be focusing on, but rather we should be turning our pain to gain. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. Like I said earlier, I'm a widow. My husband of 30 years passed away in November of 2021, 6 days after my sister suddenly passed away as well. We didn't expect either one of them to leave this earth, but they did. My husband passed 6 weeks before he retired from the U.S. Postal Service after 34 years. We were not expecting him to go anywhere, and it just seemed so unfair that he wouldn't be here to enjoy the retirement. And so I had to wrestle with that. There was a lot of pain that I felt, particularly because during COVID, I stopped breathing in our home, and it was my husband who resuscitated me successfully before the paramedics even got to our house. But yet and still, that same place in our family room is where they could not successfully resuscitate him. It was a painful experience, but I had to learn a lot from it. And I had to realize that there's a reason while I am still here. And as long as there's breath, there's an opportunity for me. And so I took that pain and I turned it into gain. That's when I started writing books. I released 4 books in 1 year. And I began speaking and sharing my story with others. So, like it's stated here, we have to choose a positive life stance. I realize that life still goes on, and I miss him every day. Trust, I do. But life still continues, and what am I going to do? How do I carry forth his legacy? I had to embrace and develop some creativity. I didn't know that I could write stories, but I have. And I didn't know that I would be a speaker, but I am. It released a creativity in me that I didn't even necessarily know that I had. I had to embrace the value of the bad experiences. They're still yet good, even though something bad is happening. I also had to make good changes after the bad experience. I had to take responsibility for my own life and the lives of my children that I have to support. And quite honestly, I had to face the truth about being accountable and being responsible for my life. And few of us do that, but we're overcomers and we are going to do just that, turning our pain into gain. Let's look at Law 3 in our remaining time. This is the law of awareness. This key principle says you must know yourself to grow yourself. That's so essential. So, who are you? Not the roles you play, but who are you at the inner essence? Who are you? Do you know? In order to know yourself, in order to grow yourself, you have to know yourself. You have to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, your interests, your opportunities. And you have to be honest about where you are. Then you can determine where you want to be. I can honestly say my self-awareness in these 2.5 years since my husband passed is much greater. I've had to take the time to really get to know myself. I literally married him right out of undergrad, and I never really spent time as an independent adult. And so here I am now getting to know Paula. What does Paula like? What doesn't Paula like? You must put in the time to be self-aware. So there's 3 types of people. You have people who don't know what they would like to do. They're just sort of unsure, they're uncertain, and they don't know what they would like to do. Then you have people who know what they want, but they don't do it. Oftentimes they procrastinate. They have fears, a failure to launch. But then you have this third category of people. They know what they want and they do it. That's us. We are the overcomers. We are the ones who apply ourselves to get it done. No, we don't always get it right, but we're committed. We show up every day doing the work that's necessary to move forward. So, what are these steps going from struggle to strength? Like I said, self-awareness is key. Accountability to yourself and perhaps to others. Have an accountability partner. Take action. You can't just have the big talk, but follow through, like we said earlier. And also understand the laws of attraction, what you attract in as well as what you give out. Other steps: be committed, be creative, be reflective, be consistent. Consistency compounds. Small, consistent steps ultimately get you to where you're trying to go. Be purposeful and be grateful. Keep an attitude of gratitude. Now, did you notice there were more things on the B side to actually be than to do? That's because so much of it comes from the inside out. Too often we want to live from the outside in, but you must first be and establish your being before you do and do your doing. I hope that's clear to you. Focus internally first and then focus externally. So I really want to thank you for allowing me to have this time with you. I hope something I have said has shifted your energy and awakened your potential. We only tapped into a small portion of 3 of the 15 laws. There's so much more that we can delve into. So I'm hoping that we can stay connected. Feel free to scan the QR code to join my VIP mailing list, where I communicate and share regularly with my followers, or book a complimentary discovery call, where we can talk and strategize on how you can apply these laws to your life as well. Follow me on my socials, Facebook and Instagram at I am Paula Hollis, or my website, www.paulahollis.com. I really appreciate this time. Until we connect again, stay focused, be intentional, work through your pain, turn it to gain, and ultimately continue to grow and stay aware. Don't just go through it, but grow through it from struggle to strength.